Hello, my name is Jeffrey Williams. I'm excited today to be talking on communications, and I own Worldwide Tech Connections, and I'm the CEO and founder of that. So excited to talk about communication. Thank you guys for joining me in-house and online today for the opportunity to tell you something very near and dear to my heart, which is how do we effectively communicate inside the healthcare space. So have you guys follow along as we go on today. Feel free to add your questions in the chat as you go through, and look forward to a great conversation today. With that being said, Cyber Health Tech Conference 2020, of course, we're proud for you guys to be there, and we really appreciate Certainty for asking us to be here as well. They're a partner of Worldwide Tech Connections, and we're very excited to have that safety and security for us on the backside that they protect us with. But when it comes to communication, one of the things that's so important today, of course, is transition of care, referring to the movement of patients between healthcare practitioner settings and homes, their conditions, and the cares that as they change. So, a couple questions for you. Did you know that over 65 million U.S. residents, or 20% of the U.S. population over the age of 5, speak a language other than English at home? More than 1 out of every 12 people in the U.S. are limited English proficient, or they're also known as LEP, which is meaning they can speak English less than very well. And 1 in 9 is considered a limited English proficient, which meaning that they are entitled to language assistance by law when seeking healthcare and education. 1 million residents are considered functionally deaf, but 10 million are hard of hearing. So how are we going to communicate? How are we going to have effective communication in the medical industry, understanding that continuation of care from doctor to patient to is so important because if not, so many choices out there will be limited. So we're going to give you a little bit of a breakdown here. Hopefully it's a little education for you guys. Some of you guys already may know this, but 120 people are made up about 92% of the total growth of the U.S. population, and the multicultural Americans. And a record 20 million Asian Americans trace their roots to more than 20 countries in the East and Southeast. So that means that there's over more than 50 languages active in the United States. Active just means large percentages. So I gave on the right the top 8, Mandarin, English, Hindustani, Spanish, Arabic, Malay, Russian, and Bengali. And of course, these are the ones that are most spoken in the world. So that means that if for those of you that are a global practice, these are the most used languages around the world. So of course, there's always a list inside of your state that your hospital maintains for the top 15 languages inside of their ambulatory area. But I wanted to just kind of empower you with data. So the Office of Civil Rights, of course, this is your Title VI Civil Rights Act that, of course, lets you know that you have to have language as part of your communication arsenal. So then that way you can effectively help your workflows, get your interpreters in place. And so nowadays, interpretation is happening on live, as well as a lot of people have been using their phones, using apps to translate and transmit. And so we'll be talking about that a little bit today as well, too. But of course, with all of these things, you have to measure your ROI, return on investment, right? And according to the FDA, there are modifiable factors. And so these are kind of the top 3. There's a whole list of it. But poor aftercare planning, poor physician communication, and lack of medication education. So when you think about that, so many hospitals and healthcare facilities are getting pinged for not having a true plan in place for people, especially on the communication side. And as you can see, this is a fact I wanted to bring to light here for you guys, that a lack of adherence causes normally 125,000 deaths a year, and 10% of the hospitalizations and costs that are out there are affected by people not understanding information and medication alone. And that I really was surprised at this, that approximately 50% of medications for chronic disease are not even taken as prescribed. I mean, think about that. 50% of all medications for chronic disease are not taken as prescribed. We believe, and we know through our data, that that's because people don't understand the information. So, of course, we want to figure out effective ways that we're going to be able to reach those people more effectively, and actually meet them where they are on their language. So in other words, a lot of times we fill out forms and we give them a form in language, but how do we communicate with them if we don't speak the language and they have a question? How are we going to make sure that that wonderful form that they just got in Hindi, actually, how are you going to type it on an English keyboard? So these are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about different strategies that are in place that actually can help you be more effective in your communication. So here's just a little bit about some of the HCAHPS scores, so how they equate to funding. I'm sure you guys are very familiar that HCAHPS allows, those scores are going to help you fund your hospitals. And so these are some of the impactful feedbacks that they're looking at. So for specific areas like communication with nurses, communication with the doctors, with the patient, responsive of hospital staff, pain management, communication about medicines, discharge information, and just the hospital rating is affected by all of these things that allow the funding that's going to flow. Well, of course, every single one of those needs effective communication. And that effective communication means that how are the nurses not just be able to communicate to the doctor and be able to give that patient care, but how are they going to be in relationship with that patient? Or how's that patient going to feel secure enough that they're going to be able to reach all the information, that critical information for doctors, so then that way they can effectively diagnose and take care of that patient efficiently. And then as they continue, be able to have that dialogue back and forth that's so important to that continuation of care. So our company, Worldwide Tech Connections, that's what we've been focused on. We want to help everybody communicate effectively anywhere, with anyone, anytime, anywhere. Now, we do know that there's other services that are out there. So we're going to talk a little bit on ours and others as we go through this, because of course, there are the Googles of the world and the Amazons of the world, and Worldwide Tech Connections, trying to give you like a thought process, is we touch in 90 languages, text to text. That means that they can type in any of their native keyboards and be able to work directly with us, filling out their forms, doing different things, as well as they have the opportunity of just being able to get on a phone call in 60 languages. Right now, you speak 60 languages. Why? Because when you speak into a phone in English, it's available in all 59 languages around the world in real time. It also can be connected by just a QR code. We're doing some effective situations that we're showcasing for our COVID response. People are filling out their forms effectively outside of that. They're typing in their native keyboard, and then all of that goes in their CRM in English with their original language as well. So then that way it keeps effective based on the language need. But this is a global scenario. So of course it could be deployed anywhere based on what the language of that particular area is. So with that, all companies focus in 4 microservices. Speech to speech, so which means, of course, you're going to speak into something that's going to come out on the other side in speech. Then you have your speech to text, which means that you're going to speak into something and it's going to transcribe the information as you dictate. A lot of you are very familiar with that, especially if you're a doctor when it comes to your dictation. And your text to speech. So that means that we're going to bring that alive for your 508 compliances, understanding that people that have to be reached for your blind, the deaf, and the deafblind community, that text to speech is going to allow that to happen. The text itself for the Braille reader, the speech to be heard, or the screen reader to effectively work with that. And then, of course, the text to text, understanding that translation services, especially on a multi-layer side, that text to text translation is going to allow you to type in that native keyboard and have it come out in any other language. You can have multiple languages at one time on effective communication for us. So the advantages to communication solutions are these. They're technologically advanced, so if anything can also always be embedded into your technology. There's APIs that are available if you're not sure that's an application programmable interface. And then, of course, you're looking for something that has an over-the-top capability. Maybe you have one of those systems that it's just too difficult to try to embed something. So you can sit on top of it and still offer all that language support that's needed, especially in today's world where translators and interpreters are very nervous to go in to be exposed by COVID. And so we want to give them a safe place to work from their home so they can transmit and all of their information as they're going back and forth with each other. And on video cam and more of your extended medical, as well as, we can customize that UI. So then that way, if you want to white label something, so fix all your branding, we can be there. And agnostic technology, which means it's going to work with anything. And contextualization. One of the things that people don't trust translation, especially virtual. A lot of them had spent time on Google and other groups. And I think it was Jimmy Kimmel that had the, songs by Google, and they would sing all the different words, knowing that those words didn't make any sense, and they made fun of it for months. And so what we wanted to do is say, we understand those problems. And Worldwide Tech Connections only came into the space because we wanted to fix that. Understanding that speech to text is very difficult, especially in where there's a lot of people speaking, or maybe there's wind, or there's large bleed over from mic to mic. We have ways to, of course, take care of that in your close proximity, as well as your first responders, because of course they never know what they're going to walk into. But we can control the audio feed to help guarantee the speech to text, as well as unlike other softwares that are out there, like Dragon, that is one size of English is supposed to fit everyone. We have 20 different dialects of English. We have 24 of Spanish. We have 14 of Arabic. So then that way you can actually hone in your voice, because everybody has different dialects. I guarantee everybody in the room, and especially all the people on the internet today, that if we all kind of spoke, we'd hear accents from all across the United States. We're a blended U.S., and we understand that. But a lot of times other softwares are not effective if maybe you're an English person with a thick Irish accent, or maybe India accent. So what we're able to do is sit in between that. Maybe you have your Dragon Medical One, you have your speaker that's never effective on Dragon Medical One. They can speak into software. That software is going to convert it and go on and take it and speak directly into Dragon Medical One, understanding that Dragon software is going to receive English. So we're going to send it straight English. So it's not accented. So it's understood and goes into the medical records properly. Pushing right along here. Again, our advantages of our communication softwares is, nowadays there's no data capturing, which I know is so important with everyone. Protecting that PII, that personal information. Understanding that if we can take out the name, phone number, address, social security number, all the things that are that cause concern, then we'd be able to use technology a lot better. We have a solution for that. And we've been able to follow the HIPAA guidelines, as well as the COPA and FERPA guidelines in education to help protect information. So we're compliance ready and multi-device, because nowadays it's wonderful that you used to have just a blue phone to go get, or the green phone to go get. And, now it's really just, it should be as easy as having your device, right? Taking your device, hitting an app, being connected, and protecting that information and the flow of the information as it goes in and out. And then everybody just wants the access to the best thing out there. We know everything's not perfect. We know that because there's always a variability in people. Even your live translator is what is called an interpreter for a reason. Why? Because as you speak, they're not speaking every word. They're interpreting what you're saying and presenting it. And so because of that, you'd be very surprised if you went word for word, how low of a rate of that they're actually receiving over there. And that's why contextualization is so important. And of course, our solution is that we have a context engine that allows us to put in, let's say you're looking up shingles. And shingles, of course, means something completely different in medical than it does for housing. But if you're on Google or one of those that are a search engine, every time that you push enter, it's going to look to see what the most used version of that word is. And if it is housing in this sentence, it could be medical in the next sentence. And it's just frustrating for people that are trying to focus to have incorrect data. going back and forth, especially when every word matters in such a critical situation. So with that, I want to thank you, because our goal is to kind of help you communicate with the world around you. And we're going to give two quick demonstrations. And then after that, we're going to go into how can we showcase our Q&A. So with that being said, I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to ask my colleague and my CTO. His name is Alejandro Parra, and he is going to be sharing screen next. So Parra, if you could do me a favor and bring up a solution for our forums, please. So this is our website, of course, worldwidetechconnections.com. And so this is an effective way that we've been able to show people our capabilities. So with the CDC form, we took the CDC form. As you can see, it's in its entirety. If Parra just scrolls down a little bit. And so what we were looking at is, how can we help? These forms are translated all the time, but people really don't understand the information on them. And if they have a question, they have to wait to call in a third-party service to help. So what we wanted to do is make sure we had something, of course, that we could sign and put together. Parra, have you go back up to the top for me, please? And most effectively, we wanted to make sure that we were accessible to everyone. So as you click the button, it's actually going to read it to you, the information.
Patient first name. Patient last name.
Now, as you see up here at the top, we've loaded the top 10 languages of the United States. There's 4 languages there, and then there's a drop down for the other 6. So as Parra clicks any of the languages, it's going to dynamically change from a database. Everything is saved there. It's already been
Patienten.
As you see, so all the audios too have changed. Parra, if you want to go and click a few.
患者姓氏，患者的名字，报告管辖权。
So we also know that now you need the ability, because a lot of the wonderful people that have moved to our country have maybe moved here to give a better life to their children. So they may speak their language better than they understand it. So they have the ability to speak in 60 languages, have that transcribed. And if you notice, there's also a place that after they type or speak into the box, that'll play it back to make sure that they can identify that what was put into the box is exactly the information. So you don't spend that extra time of people claiming that, well, the interpreter told me to put that in box 3 and I just didn't understand, so I put it in box 4. And so we take out all those hassles. We also have a remote way for this to be followed. One of the hospitals we work with outside of Boulder, a third of their budget is for interpreters to help fill out forms. And one of the reasons why that's not effective is that they never know how long the form is going to be. So a lot of times the doctor gets held up, and we wanted to figure out a better workflow. So we actually have where that interpreter can, anywhere in the world, follow the real-time fill out of this form and give aid, or it can also connect to your bot. And a bot in language, we can switch that as well. With that being said, Parra, if you'll do me a favor, we're going to move over to the box. So the box is our effective overlay. And Parra, I'm going to ask him very quickly to give a little information on that. And then I know we have a quick video, and we will be at our Q&A. As you can see, there's multiple languages. You can see there's multiple dialects. This was set up for a company. So this is the box here. And Parra is going to speak on the other side here, and he's going to speak in Spanish. As he speaks in Spanish, you'll be able to receive it in English. You could have picked any of the 60 languages, and then, of course, in real time. So he's going to pick English because we know that's the majority of our audience. So Parra, if you'll begin.
Second, there's a couple of lag over here. 1 second.
No problem. So as Parra gets ready, after that, you'll see the buttons on the top there on the right. The left one allows you to click it, and that's going to turn on, so it will read to you in language. Next to it, we'll get rid of the actual transcript with the trash can. And then the settings allows you to switch between languages, or as you see in the bottom, you can also pick the size of your font. For me, as I get older, I need that larger font. And so that's where we are. So Para, if you're ready.
Yes, sir. So as you can
Awesome.
see, we can type over here. We can have a different translation setting. Or I can just speak. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Thank you to everyone to giving us the time in order to showcase our technology in order to communicate effectively in 78 languages in real time.
Thank you, Para. So I'm going to ask Para now to switch that over. As you can see, he was talking in English. It's coming out in Spanish for them. Of course, he has the ability to just speak in Spanish, and you guys can follow in English.
Así es. Muchas gracias por la presentación el día de hoy. Thank you very much.
So as you can see, so with the setting there, he has the ability to switch from English to Spanish. And it looks like we didn't have the other box open that would show the Spanish. If you'll do me a favor for that, Mr. Parr, if you could go on and move to our video demonstration of how this also can be part of your phone systems. So we have the ability to effectively communicate. You can see here is we're able to help. Let's say maybe you need some education. You want to put together people in a room and to allow them to communicate. So we're going to click real quickly the River promo up there. This is a pastor in Florida who always talked about being able to speak to people in other languages. Now he speaks to them in up to 60.
You'll see a miracle
Darás los
taking place
pulgares
right
cuando
in
esté
front of
listo.
you. Because
Bien,
I'm speaking.
espero que ese pulgar no lo haga. Está listo. Quiero saludarte en el maravilloso nombre de Jesús hoy. Ves un milagro que se produce justo delante de ti porque te estoy hablando. En el español de hoy, nunca creíste que lo harías. Hablamos en español. ¿Te imaginas que te dije que iba a rezar? Que en español te
So as you can see, there's multiple ways that people can effectively do this. Maybe you have a video that needs to be changed over. So then that way, when people come in and learn about patient education of what they're getting ready to go through for a surgery, or maybe just the steps of how to come in on the administration side, we can do that as well. Part, will you show the butterfly, please? I'm just scrolling a little bit there. So this video is now available in all of our languages, and it can be spoken in English or the others. So with that going on,
They exist elsewhere. The largest concentration of the world's monarch butterfly population is in eastern North America. Here, these spring and summer monarchs live only a few short weeks. But the
أسابيع قصيرة. ولد في أواخر الصيف
在墨西哥中部的一些森林斜坡上，
Très précis, sur quelques pans boisés du Mexique central.
Mexiko. Ihre Urgroßeltern sind im Jahr zuvor gegangen.
Thank you, Para. So as you can see, we feel like effective communication only happens if you can take in information in forms, present it in video, and then speak one-on-one, either through an app or through a PBX system. Our PBX system, we're already available in Nice in Contact, Avaya, Five9, Salesforce, so that way you can make a app-to-app phone call or a phone call through your PBX system. And you can speak English and go to 60 different languages and have all of that transcribed. Or if you bring in a live interpreter, you can also have that transcribed so you can see how your interpreter is interpreting the information. When you get an interpreter in Spanish, it doesn't mean that they're great in maybe your discipline of healthcare. And so it's really important as we are getting that continuation of care to make sure all that information is there. So I'm sure you guys have lots of questions. So I'm gonna move over to our question and answer. Par, if you'll just bring up our website in front. Thank you very much. And we are available. We hope you've had an opportunity to learn. I'm sure you all agree that there's a huge need in communication, and we're happy to discuss questions on our material or any other material, because of course we research the top 24 engines around the world, and we coordinate those in our back end, making sure that you always have the most effective communication in language anywhere in the world, endorsed by our chief linguistics team. So we're very familiar with other products that are out there. So with that being said, any questions?
There is a couple of questions in the chat, so we will be addressing that. Question 1: does my doctor have to have the application also?
So no. So everything is web-based. So because of that, it can either be embedded into an application, but it does not have to be. It just has to be on one side. So the doctor or the patient can come up. They can show a QR code on the back of their phone. They can click it, be able to speak to each other, or it could be a dedicated phone number to that doctor or healthcare professional.
Great. Next question says, what is the pricing model?
So the pricing model is it's your normal SaaS-based model, software as a service. We call it language as a service. So that means, of course, you're going to connect first with a monthly just to be connected. We'll look at your configuration. We do a sales gap analysis and also a technical gap analysis to see how we communicate. We call it by campus based on where the locations are. If that configuration is the same, then of course it can be international. And then from there, it is a base usage model, and then utility only when you use it. And we have 11 different products for you to enable or disable at any time with multiple languages. So you actually have 60 languages available to you as a virtual interpreter at any time. Next question. Awesome. So with that being said, we appreciate your time today, and we really appreciate Certainty for giving us the offer to be here. We want to thank our partner. We've been very lucky to have the opportunity to be there, and we are using Certainty in our own workflow to protect our backend, making sure that all this information as it goes is HIPAA compliant, as well as it can be controlled as information goes from point A to point B. So all these transcripts are there, or of course they also be connected directly into the electronic medical records as well. But with Certainty, we always feel very proud of that. So we want to thank them once again for that. We want to thank you for your time today to give us the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about communication and how it affects healthcare and solutions that are out there, including those of our company, Worldwide Tech Connections. So with that, my name is Jeffrey Williams. I'm the CEO and founder of Worldwide Tech Connections, and I approve this message. Thank you.